Hello, everyone, and welcome to the Unlocking the Power of Email Marketing event with Spellbound. Today, we have a unique opportunity to learn the latest strategies and tactics for successful email marketing. You'll gain insights into personalization, interact emails, and copy that will help you improve your current campaigns. And additionally, Spellbound is here to provide an on-the-spot audit of your emails, giving you valuable feedback. So I'm excited to introduce you to Akshay Dinesh, CEO and co-founder of Spellbound. Spellbound is an interactive email platform that increases conversions drastically by embedding magical user experiences in your marketing emails. And before I turn it over to Akshay, I just want to give a quick intro on Replo. Replo is a visual web development platform that allows teams to create beautiful, high-performance landing pages on Shopify without the need for developers. Replo is light years ahead of other page builders when it comes to customization and page speed. We have a library of hundreds of proven landing pages and sections that anyone can use, as well as certified experts who can help build new pages in just a few days. Thanks everyone for being here today, and I'm going to turn it over to Akshaya to take it from here.
Awesome. Thanks, Justin. Excited to be here too. I'm the founder here at Spellbound, and we're basically a platform that helps e-commerce brands create interactive experiences embedded instead of their emails. So we've been working with a bunch of other D2C brands on their email marketing for a few months now. We tend to be really, really hands-on, and we also help. So we're basically living in Klaviyo all day, every day, doing all sorts of things related to email, and also how email can really kind of leverage other channels as well, and how to kind of like bridge the gap between email and SMS in some cases, things like that. So yeah, just excited to dive right in. And if you have any emails that you want us to take a look at, definitely feel free to shoot over. Here's my email in the chat. That would be super helpful. We can kind of go through however many emails you want. We can also keep it shorter. But yeah, I can also kick off and just walk through a few of our emails that we've been able to build with some of our brands, and kind of like maybe even explain a little bit of what we think went well in those, but what we think didn't go so well in those, and what we would do to improve it for the next time. I'll walk through a couple of our emails first to kind of just like what's up a little bit, and just kind of talk through some of the emails that we've built in the past. And then from there, we can kind of move over to your emails and take a look as well.
Awesome.
Cool. So yeah, in terms of like what we specialize with, we really focus actually a lot on the interactiveness of an email. So we really go into what can we do to expand the capabilities of what email can do. But obviously, you know, a lot of the brands that we work with also care a lot about branding, copy and creative, and all those very important things as well. So here's an example of a welcome flow email that one of our brands, Emmy, built. And the welcome flow email, this is actually the first email in the sequence. So I'll kind of just like play the video. I wish I could play it more slowly. Oh, I can. Okay. I'll play it. I'll just play the video first, and then would love to hear, Justin, your feedback, and Christine, your feedback as well, just from like a consumer perspective, what you think works well and what you think doesn't work so well from this email. And we can kind of brainstorm together. That sounds good. So here's the email. There's like that image at the top. There's some CTA in there. And then up here, there is some copy, and I'll pause so that we can also like read through it. There we go. And then there's a bit more about their product. They're a vegan ramen. So we've got some information about the product. And then moving down to the bottom here is the shoppable section. So this is the part that we really focused on in our build, since we're a platform focused on the interactive capabilities. So we basically help them bring in this shoppable experience so that customers could add to cart and start their purchase from within the email.
Cool.
Yeah, I love the content. The photos are great, and it's like super bright, really pops out. This part I love a lot. Just being able to, without even having to like click out, like you can check out directly in the email. That's definitely a game changer. And yeah, maybe like, I don't know if you scroll back up a little bit again, like the copy's good. I don't know. It's like, I mean, I don't know. I'm just trying to imagine if there was like a little less copy. It's kind of like a wall of text for a minute. I kind of just like glare over it, but
yeah,
there's a way to just like kind of like make that pop like a little bit more, like maybe just cut it down, maybe cut it in half, I would say.
Yeah. Yeah, I'm totally with you. I also feel like another piece is like it does feel a little jarring to have this like really personal founder backstory, and then without really any transition, it's just all of a sudden telling me like it's just selling me on the product and telling me
Right.
about like high protein and carbs and plant-based. Like I feel like there maybe needs to be a better transition between the founder and the actual product and how they kind of connect.
Totally.
My
I do
opinion.
like the numbers here.
Yeah.
That definitely helps. Just like because it's like easier to get the context of
Yep.
sort of like what the benefits are, more so than like all the text, I would say.
I totally agree. Honestly, maybe even like a divider line or like a section change in the creative would be super helpful just to be able to see like visually we're moving on to a different theme of the email versus, continuing with the sort of like founder background piece.
Totally agree with that.
Cool. And hey, I know we have a new folk in the chat, so or in the Zoom. So if you want to chime in with any feedback as well, would love to hear your thoughts.
Hey,
Yeah.
sorry I missed the beginning of the call, but what brand is this?
So this is Immi. This is like a vegan brand. IMMI. There's our logo at the top. There it is.
Okay, and the question I had is when you add to cart and you also buy from the email, I mean, the purchases, do they go to any CMS like Shopify, or is it from Spellbound? How does it work exactly?
Yeah. That's a great question. So actually, we're in the process of revamping this for Immi. So two potential ways to check out. One is going through Shopify checkout. So that's kind of like the first thing that you mentioned, and that's currently what we have live for this email. So at the very end here, there's this checkout button, and clicking that checkout button will take them to the Shopify checkout page. But the other sort of approach for checkout is using our in-email payment integration with Stripe. So we're in the process of actually migrating Immi over to that version of the email in which we'll be able to have the full credit card transaction and payment go through without having to take somebody to the Shopify site.
Okay, and for the second method, would it create a profile or a sale in the Shopify
Exactly.
platform?
Yeah, it would place an order manually through Shopify as well as the customer in Shopify.
Awesome. And do you have any integration with subscription apps?
Yeah, so actually the same thing for Immi. So Immi is also a subscription product. And so they're building up flows right now for things like subscription upsells. So like, for example, maybe a customer purchased a one-time purchase, but then 30 days later, if they're liking the product, you want to be able to try to upsell them on the subscription. And so in the Spellbound shoppable widgets, you can choose to either include or exclude subscription purchase options, same way you can a PDP. And so they're building out flows right now to basically be able to ask a one-time purchaser if they're interested in a subscription going forward, and basically show that in one of these shoppable sections.
Okay, awesome. Thank you.
Totally. Awesome. Well, I think basically to share out some of my feedback as well on the email, I would say that the button at the top, the CTA, is a little bit confusing maybe in terms of it saying meet Immi. I'm not 100% sure like what that's going to do or where that's even going to take me on the site. If I click on it, it does look like a button though. And it's usually rare for me to see a button sort of like centered this way in an image where there's sort of like a lot of white space. That's, I think the other piece is just like definitely cutting down the size of this image, because I think most people seeing this would like definitely not scroll this far to get to the content. So if we would just like cut half of like maybe a third of that image length off, I think it would just make it so that people might scroll down to see the content more quickly. That was my other feedback to add. Cool. Any other thoughts or ideas on this email and how we can make it better? Sweet. Let's check out maybe one or two others. And Yassine, I'm not sure if I'm saying your name right, but if you have any emails that you'd like us to workshop on together, feel free to forward it to the email. I think it's in the chat. I don't know if you can still see. I'll type it one more time. All right, there we go. Yeah, just forward a preview of that email over to that email, and then we'll share and look through it together. Awesome. Cool. Let's see, maybe we can look at an SMS one. So let's take a look at this is an SMS campaign, and I think this is actually a really creative idea for doing a campaign to drive people to SMS. And this is something we hear constantly from brands, which is that the size of their email list is always much bigger than the size of their SMS list. And that makes sense, right? Because people are very protective of their phone inbox. And so Kaja, which is one of the amazing brands that we work with, has come up with these really creative ways of driving people from email to SMS and to kind of come up with creative incentives. So, incentive that they had was actually doing a giveaway that was exclusive only to SMS. And so, I can slow this down. Okay, slower. So they have some creative at the top, and immediately the word giveaway makes me feel excited about this email because it means that you're actually showing value to the audience and not just sell, sell, sell. There's also some sort of give and take. And then here they've got a little section. I'll pause to let you read.
Mm-hmm.
Awesome. And I think this is interesting too, because there's a discount for everyone just for entering, which is again, like offering an incentive to opt into the SMS list. In addition to also offering those free gifts. Obviously, this is going to be dependent on every brand's ability to discount and how heavy the discounts are. I will say that this is a pretty hefty discount for such a small action. So I would recommend like maybe using a special code expires within a few days of the campaign or offering a slightly smaller discount just so that we don't get to, any discount fatigue with the audience.
Mm-hmm.
And then this part is where they can sign up for text. And then there's that GIF at the bottom. And their footer. So I have a bunch of other feedback, but I'll kind of pause and hear your thoughts first. If you guys have any, so far, any ideas on how we can make this email better or things you think are working well and aren't working well.
Yeah, I think right off the bat, obviously, I think the box where you can sign up for text is so different than the rest of the creative that it sort of like takes me out of it a little bit. So I think that that's like one piece that like just kind of causes that disconnect that I think can make people bounce from a page. And then the information in CTA being so far down in the scroll is also a little bit like, I mean, I'm excited by like a giveaway thing, but like when you don't even know what it's for at the top or like there's no other information, I think that's also
For sure. That makes a ton of sense. Yeah. And I feel like that's kind of like a theme we see a lot is just like brands get really excited about the content, like the creative, like the images of their products. And then that really ends up totally overshadowing the message of the campaign.
Mm-hmm.
Right. So I think there's definitely ways that we can make this image smaller and more narrower to kind of like allow for more space. And even at the top, I feel like this whole header is just so long. There's like 2, 3 lines of like very like not super like helpful content that's just kind of like taking up the whole top half of the space above the fold. And I think this is something that people definitely don't realize how important it is, especially with emails as it compares to website traffic, is that people very, very rarely scroll. They only scroll when the content above the fold is very interesting because people, when they're moving through their inbox and they're opening emails, they're just trying to get to inbox 0. They're smashing that next button. And so any longer that it takes for them to sort of like get excited, it's just going to be really hard to maintain that interest. Versus I feel like, and versus I feel like on websites, people are much more likely to scroll because they're not trying to like, I don't know, close out all their tabs. Although maybe they are, but most of the time they're more sort of like interested in sticking around for a bit longer. So I definitely agree. There's some space that we can definitely preserve at the top. Very good point. Any other feedback?
Maybe the text, the way that it's written there, like, I don't know, I'd probably choose like a different font. little bit hard to read. I don't know. I mean, it's like I'm okay with it being a little fun and creative, but like it's a little bit, I don't know. It could be better, maybe.
Yeah, no, I agree. Maybe it's like maybe it's just like a character sizing issue, but you're right that these letters are very narrow. Like they're very close together. So
Right.
I could definitely see this being slightly hard to read, especially when it comes to like accessibility and things like that. Like I could totally see people like having to like squint a bit to kind of read the font.
Right. I mean, I think I do like how they call out like the three, four
Mhm.
lucky
Yeah,
winners, like 25% off. Like that obviously pops and that's nice. But yeah, maybe the other text could just be a little bit wider or different.
for sure. Yeah, totally agree. I think the other thing that I would mention is that feels like there's kind of like three competing CTAs here. There's the
Hmm.
first CTA, which is the button and that thing. So people could click on that. Second CTA is sort of like the box where people can enter their phone number. And then the third almost is like this other section that also says text us. So it's
Right.
like all three of these are kind of pointing at or hinting at the same thing and like really compete for your attention on the page. So
Well,
I could see a version where maybe they're condensed or maybe they're like more combined into one section rather than split out into three.
totally. I do like the ability to just plug the number in directly here in the email, like rather than clicking out to another link. Like I would much rather do it right here than have to like click out and then put it in. It's just a whole nother step. So it's nice to be able to do it like right here.
Yes, absolutely. But I think, yeah, totally right, Christine, in terms of like the style does look quite different from the rest of the email, especially given that pink background and that pink theme all over. So I think there could have been more attention to the style being more consistent, similar to how the Emmy email looked, for sure.
To what extent Spellbound integration can be changed in terms of colors, fonts, background, etc.?
Yeah, that's a good question. So I think the Emmy email was a really good example of the customization features. I will say that there are limitations, mostly due to kind of the limitations of email clients. And that's why you see a lot brands actually build a lot of the email content through just images and not having live text and live buttons and content in the emails. It's and that's just not even referring to the interactive piece, like even just like this button, right? Like this button, the sign up for text that could have been like an HTML button and real live text inside of it, but they opted to make it an image because they knew that that font is not going to work in an email client. So when making certain events interactive, it does mean that we have slightly more limited control over the specific font type and things like that. But in return, we sort of get a much better user experience for the customer. We try our best to get as far as we can on the customization with like colors. Definitely is a huge one. Backgrounds, borders, all that kind of stuff. It's just really like a couple limitations that we do have on things like font type specifically.
Okay. And my bad if you mentioned this before I joined, but how can you integrate Spellbound on Klaviyo? Is it like sections or the whole email is done on Spellbound, then
Yeah,
exported to Klaviyo?
that's a great question. So it is an email builder as well. So you'll basically build out the creative within Spellbound as in uploading images and things like that, and then adding the interactive widgets and configuring them. And then we can export that email into Klaviyo to prepare to send it within a flow or a campaign.
Mhm. Awesome. Thanks.
For sure. Cool. Any other thoughts on this email as it looks like today? Nothing on the footer. I do like this footer. I feel like it just kind of helps a little bit more to remind me of what the products are for and what the brand really stands for, especially the cruelty free is huge, at least for me, as somebody who knows like the horrible stuff going on in the beauty industry. It's pretty cool. And just seeing this stuff kind of reminds me that if I do purchase, I have the safety of returns and other perks from the brand. So I like this footer a lot. Also just think it's fun the way they've designed it. Sweet. I'm gonna switch over and see if there are any emails that have come in. So let me go ahead and share and take a look. Let's see. All right, I'm gonna reshare. Awesome. Here we go. Cool. I'm just going to scroll through really slowly
Mhm.
and let you guys take a look. Awesome. Cool. Yeah, does anyone want to start first with any feedback or thoughts? Or actually, Christine, if you want to start off by giving us a bit of like context on the email. I know you said it was an abandoned cart, abandoned checkout flow. Any other like context you want to share before we just jump in?
Yeah, so I think the main point is just like I said, that like we had a lot of these flows created by an agency last year. And while we have like updated the creative in it, like updated photos and that sort of thing throughout the time, we haven't really updated the like total body of it itself. So feel free to go nuts on it.
Okay, awesome. That's super helpful context. Cool.
Yeah, I would say like first one is just kind of a point I think that you made earlier, actually, about like moving the like image and like everything up above the fold. There's so much space for the free shipping and for the even like the view in browser. You could probably get that whole image and like everything up above the fold.
Mm.
Um,
Absolutely agree. I was about to say the same. I would say like this little gray bar honestly looks like it's supposed, I don't really know what this gray bar is doing. My guess is it was just probably in there by accident. I think taking that gray bar in out would just make the top of the email look a little bit like cleaner in terms of design.
Mhm.
Also looking at like this free shipping on US orders banner can probably be like vastly condensed in height. And same thing, view in browser. As far as I'm aware, like a lot of brands actually might just don't even include a view in browser at the top. It's kind of one of those like old email things that like everyone kind of does, but no one really knows why they do it. So I wouldn't mind at all if this just wasn't there, or maybe if it was near the footer instead, if for some reason somebody really did want to view in browser, just feel like it's taking up quite a bit of space, this amount of all this at the top. This creative is gorgeous. Absolutely love how this looks, like the
yeah.
starkness of the product in the hands of the customer, like literally, it looks amazing. So this looks really, really good.
Mhm.
This part as well, like even though these are like really, really simple pieces, I love the starkness of the font change between the titles and the subtitles, the really casual language. Like I love how it's almost like texting language. It's not even YOU, it's just you. It makes you feel really like you're kind of friends with the brand, which I love. Um, I think one thing that was hard visually to kind of like just kind of look at was just like how big the image was and how wide this section was in taking up content of the email, especially because my eyes when I'm scrolling down from the top are they're very much centered on the middle part of the screen. Because this creative only takes up like the middle half or middle 2/3 of the screen in terms of width. So as I scroll down, my eyes are still middle, 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 the center aligned text, and then suddenly the product is now on the left corner and it's like very, very wide. So one idea would be to like either surround this with a different section, maybe like a rectangular, some kind of would contain the elements a bit more, or just make it so that they don't end up taking up the full width and they're a little bit narrower in terms of the width. I think that would just make it look a little bit less jarring.
Mhm.
Also do
Probably,
feel like some, yeah, sorry.
I was gonna say they could probably just be like laid out in a row if you like created a grid in Klaviyo too, just to save space there. And then there should probably be buttons for each of them.
Right.
Yep. Love that idea for sure. Buttons for sure for add to cart or sorry, no, this was an abandoned check. So just getting back to that product for sure, add a button. And I think we do have a button here. I know one thing that actually is it linked? Okay, it's linked. I know one thing a lot of brands will sometimes do is actually have that checkout CTA button both at the top and at the bottom before the products in the cart. So if they know that they just forgot and they don't want you to even see what products they added to cart, they can just quickly add that CTA at the top and click back to checkout. I do
I think
think the
it's
yep.
Yeah, sorry. I think you're about to say it. You got it.
I was gonna say the font size looks a little big here in this section, just because like I don't know why, but for me, just looking at it, that font looks really, really big in comparison to like even just like the font size of like my regular Gmail UI. Like all these fonts are way, way smaller than this one. And it looks fine up here because like my eyes are looking at the center. It's just that one sentence. But then down here, quantity and total just feel really, really big.
Yeah.
Totally.
This is awesome though. It looks super duper cool. I think one thing that like it maybe could be a future iteration would just be like being able to see multiple pictures. So with Spellbound, what we do is we have an image carousel that gets pulled in from Shopify of all the images that's stored in Shopify for that specific product. So I think that in general, this could be like just really, really valuable seeing the product on a person. Just given that hair accessories are like so unique to like the person's hair type. And you kind of want to like see how they're fashioned before you try them on. Like even these clips, like I see these in the store all the time. And my biggest question is like, how do I actually wear them? Like what hairstyles look good with these clips? So I feel like the same could go with like just in selling the product better, having pictures of these actually on a person rather than just by themselves.
Way. Yeah. Amazing.
I love the footer too. I saw it for like a second.
Oh, this one?
Yeah, it's pretty cool.
Oh yeah, same. This is
I like
sick.
that. Yeah. Neat.
Cool. It's like blending in with the background color, which is really, really awesome. Yeah, maybe the social media icons could also be a bit bigger. They're a little bit like the clickable area is very, very tiny, so I can't really see those icons. So I feel like those might be a little easier to see if they were a bit bigger. This is awesome. The rest looks great. Yeah, anyone else have any thoughts? Cool. And sorry, Jacqueline, I didn't even see that you joined the Zoom.
All good. Yeah, I came in a little late. I was just on another call.
Amazing. Well, if anybody else wants to send in an email for review, would love to take a look. I think I have my email in the chat.
Oh, I don't actually know if I.
Oh, you probably can't see it. Okay, let me
Yeah.
send it. Fine. There we go. We probably have time for another one or two.
Was there any one specifically that we were looking at, or just like any email in the flow?
Any email that you want to get the group's feedback on. So anything that you're kind of curious about, or maybe one that's not doing so well and you kind of want to learn why, forward that over and we can talk through it.
Okay. Sorry, this might just take me a quick minute. Actually, yeah, the browse abandonment on ours as well is a little underperforming.
Unfortunate spam.
Oh no.
Okay, well, it's in here. So, weird.
That is weird.
Interesting. There's a no THC CBD thing in here, so maybe that's what's causing it to go to spam. It could be one reason. I'm noticing a few issues actually. One is also the friendly from. So it looks like there's no first name and last name in the from. So in the I don't know if you sent this preview from the template or from within a campaign or a flow, but just editing that might make it look a little bit less like spam. But again, nobody really knows why things go to spam. So yeah, I think usually when like email clients look for deliverability, they want to see it look as close as possible to a real person. Just having that like company name and that missing last name even can flag it as a not a real person.
Got it. Okay.
Interesting. Awesome. Whoa, this looks so cool. I love the image at the top.
Yeah.
I'm like trying to like sort out. I'm trying to figure out what the product is without knowing anything about the product.
Yeah, I'm not gonna tell you, so maybe let's
Okay.
just see what you come back with, because I know it can be a little confusing.
I like the social proof there.
Oh yeah, for sure.
Yeah, I think with this product, we've sort of over-indexed on providing as much information as we can just to try to avoid confusion. But I wasn't sure if it's maybe too much content in an initial email. I know people just sort of glaze over it after a certain time period.
No, I love it. It's
Yeah, it's
kind of
really.
almost like, sorry, go ahead, Justin.
No, I apologize. You got you got.
I was gonna say it's almost kind of like a landing page, which I
Yeah.
think is really awesome, especially when sometimes I feel like, especially if you have a pop-up on the site that triggers very quickly, a lot of times people will just put their email in because they, whatever that offer might be, there's a discount or something, and then they never even get to spend that much time on the site. Maybe they got pulled away or they got distracted by notification. So showing all this context, I'm guessing this is a welcome flow email, welcome
Yeah,
one.
this is the welcome one. Yeah.
Yeah, I think this is honestly the amount of information that I think brands should have. Because if you're just, oh, you forgot to check out, like here's the thing you were gonna buy, and they never even got to read much on the site, then they're very lost. So it's always better to have more context than less.
Mhm.
I think in terms of the content itself, first of all, the design looks awesome. Like really, really love this image at the top. It looks gorgeous. It's really beautiful. I think for me, it feels like, and this is honestly also probably part of the reason why it went to spam, is that there's a lot of content comparing it to like psychedelics and weed and
Yeah.
like other drugs, but so much so to the fact that up until this part of the email, up until this underlined part, I actually thought these were magic mushrooms. Like these were just mushrooms.
Yeah.
So like maybe it's just because there's like so much of that. Like I get that it's helpful. It's like an analogy that I'm sure like fits in really well with people who like, there might even be people that don't even like really know much about microdosing, or they don't even really know much about mushrooms, but they
Mhm.
are interested in the positive benefits of Mojo. And almost, so I think you missed the first part. Um, we went through an email that one of the other brands, that's a vegan ramen brand called Imi, had, and they had this really cool section of their email. I'm trying to find it again. And oh, there it is. Okay. They had this section of the email that kind of just talked a little bit about like the ingredients and nutritional facts of the product. And this was also their welcome flow email one. So I thought that might be relevant. Here it is. Okay.
Mm.
So right here near the top of the email, they had this little section. Oh no, now my loom is broken. Clicked too many times. There we go. Here it is. So they had this little section that was kind of just like little tiny details of the product and like why it's different. And then I know in follow-up emails of their welcome flow, they dive even deeper into like the ingredients of what makes the product unique. I think that could actually be super useful, just given that it's the first email in the welcome flow. Haven't really learned much about the product yet, probably through the site, if they didn't spend much time on it. Would love to just know a little bit about like what are the main key benefits. And I was super happy that I was able to get that later down in the email. And actually, it was reading this review that was very, very helpful. Like now I know that the value of the product is, okay, helps with sleeping the night, helps with focus, helps with productivity. And those things I didn't really get to know until very far down. And so this is again sort of like in terms of the like above the fold experience and scrolling experience. I think this section and this section are kind of a little bit redundant in that maybe they could even be condensed, or like we could even probably take this paragraph about the welcome incentive and just plop that right into the Meet the Mojo gummies section. So that way they're condensed a little bit. We get closer to really explaining the value of the product. And I love that we're explaining it through the customer's voice. I love that we're explaining it through this really cool graphic as well. I think that part makes a ton of sense.
Awesome.
One thing I'd say is like the ingredients there. I like how you talk about what how they impact you. What would be great is actually somewhere, maybe it's just like
Labels.
like saying what they are. That'd be great.
Yeah, like I know this is probably turmeric.
Right.
I don't know what that is. I also don't really know what that is. So
Fair. Yeah.
labels would be awesome.
Yeah, agreed. Yeah, that was definitely missed.
And even the product packaging is like it's pretty, but maybe less important. So maybe even we could move the product packaging to like one side and like really hone in on those 3 ingredients, make those bigger, make those clearer, and kind of explain.
Mhm.
That would be awesome. And then maybe one of the other emails in the welcome flow could be like a deep dive into like research that's backing these ingredients, or like why they're unique to Mojo, or what's special about each of these ingredients. I'm sure there could be more deeper dives in a follow-up email, but even just having the names of them is like you said, Justin, super useful.
Mhm.
This is awesome.
Yeah, it looks great.
Yeah, it looks amazing. And I love this little site too. It kind of almost looks like an Instagram feed. Looks really
Mhm.
Yeah. Yeah, I think we have to update that with some new images, but yeah.
awesome. Well, overall, the brand and the styling of this is like very, very spot on. Just looks really, really polished and clean.
Thank you. No, it's really
I
helpful.
guess a super nitpick thing, but just again, in terms of saving real estate, there's like a bit of this like extra white space at the top that we could probably save and just get straight to the content.
Great. Made some notes.
Sweet. Any other thoughts or feedback, Christine or Yassine?
No, I think it's beautiful.
It's definitely beautiful.
Yeah, it looks very nice.
Awesome. Cool. Well, we're at our end of our session anyway, so Justin, if you want to take it back over to wrap things up.
Awesome. Well, yeah, thanks everyone for joining. Really appreciate it. We will post this on YouTube on our YouTube channel, which is at Replo HQ. We'll also post it in our community. I'll drop the link over here if you're not in it already. And we will be hosting this event on a monthly basis. So make sure to follow along. We typically post on Twitter when those events will drop. And here is also our link to all of our events. And yeah, thank you again for coming today. Really appreciate it. And thank you so much. Actually, a really awesome job. So thank you.
Yeah, thanks for having me. It was good to see you all.
Thank you. Bye.
Take care, everyone.
Take care.
Thank you.
Thank you.